Bonjour, mes amis.
Bonjour.
Sure.
Comment ça va?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
So I'm sitting at the dining table of the Louis Bolduc house in St. Genevieve, Missouri, and built somewhere around 1790-ish in that time period. I got two fine living avid historians with me. I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Yeah. We know one another, Peter, but I'm Donald Wade Davis with the Coalition of Historical Trekkers. Glad to be here.
And glad to have you.
And I'm Geoff Giglierano, and I'm the director of French Colonial America, which is the nonprofit that operates Center for French Colonial Life, including the Bolduc House.
Perfect.
I see you're eyeballing something there, Peter. What is that?
Well, that'd be a wee dram, sir.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, in fact, I remember sharing a few with you down there
Yes.
at, was it Prickett's Fort?
Prickett's Fort,
Last year.
last year.
School of Long Hunter, but as I recall, that was your dram right
Yes,
there.
indeed.
Yeah, had two
Indeed.
handles
Had
too.
two handles. You can always tell if your bagpipe player is on the level. You know how?
No.
The spittle drains out of both sides of his mouth equally.
I recall you taking my shilling down there at that
Yes.
event, and you signed me up for the Coalition of Historic Trekkers. And
Yes, yes. Peter is we now have two Canadian members. So Peter, we made him, since he was the first, an honorarium of Emperor of the North. I plan on going up there this year and lending my faint heart and weak back to moving a couple of twigs out of the way so he can heft logs. Coming over was beautiful country. It's rolling hills and woods, and it's just an exquisite site with a lot of old artifacts and restored buildings, and people like Geoff make the site come alive.
Louis was born in French Canada. He came down here about 1760, settled in the old town, and when the old town started flooding, he moved up here, built this, and as you say, incredibly fertile land here, and great for growing the exact kind of wheat that you need for French bread, which you can't grow in lower Louisiana, so this becomes the breadbasket of New Orleans. And between that wheat and salt and lead deposits here, taking that down to New Orleans, a guy like Louis could really flourish, and he did.
And then you, Wade, you're a wee bit further west still.
A wee bit further west.
A little newer.
I'm portraying, I've stumbled upon a character. I live in Leavenworth County, Kansas, near Fort Leavenworth. And come to find out, my research showed that King Louis XV gave a trader from Kaskaskia here in southern Illinois a mandate to go out to Kansas and establish a trading post with the Kansas Indians. He mentions him specifically. And the trader's name was Du Rousseau, and he come out here, and in 1745 they built Fort de Cavigny on the site of present-day Fort Leavenworth. And when Lewis and Clark go through in 1803 and 1804, they still see the remains of the old French post. But I identified one man who worked for De Rousseau. His name was just Pierre. We don't know what his last name was, but he was in charge of moving and packing household goods. So we assume he was some kind of packer, trader, canoeman, and he got paid annually in X number of furs, tobacco, and moccasins. So, and that fits my personality. And so I am Pierre du Kansas.
There we go.
Someone who's from Kansas. But he had roots here in the Illinois and Missouri country.
Right.
You know, the folks of French descent, in general, got along with most of the Native American peoples of this region, including the Osage, who were the most powerful. And there was quite a bit of intermarriage, and in part, especially, okay, here's the thing, that especially with the Osage, for the men up in St. Louis, you marry an Osage lady, and because among the Osage, the women were the business people in their families, you were marrying into a business alliance.
You know what I find fascinating and rather comical is, well, after the Treaty of Paris, right? So the America now is a new country unto itself, and the Paris Treaty signed, and the French there, they play a little secret thing on the Americans there, and they cede all this stuff on this side of the river to the Spaniards. And yeah, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
That makes me, no offense to you
Oh, no.
Americans. I mean,
Oh, no.
I mean,
Well,
no.
They couldn't afford to take care of this side of the river anymore. And so transferring it to the Spanish made sense because they didn't want the British to get a hold of it.
Another sort of thing I find entertaining, let's say, is after the French and Indian Wars, or 7 Years' War, Fort Deschartres on the other side of the river is now British territory. America's yet to come, that's down the road, but the French, they just don't give it up. I understand they stayed for 2 full years until all the supplies were gone, and then I think the British showed up and thought they were going to have a bit of a kerfuffle there, and they just said, thank you, bye, cheers, and came to this side of the river. So Geoff, that was fascinating. I appreciate you sharing that with us, and
as
my
always,
friend
Peter,
Wade,
it's a pleasure.
And like I said, it's pretty interesting being well, you say now there's 2 of us with the coalition.
Yes, but you're still the Emperor of the North.
I'm the Emperor of the North.
Yes.
I think we're going to have an annual general meeting up there.
Yes,
There'll
indeed.
be 2 of us.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll invite the whole gang down
Yeah.
here in the States.
Yeah, as we say down here in the South, both y'all have a
Both of
meeting.
you all. I'd love to get to your one in Wisconsin, but time, I think there's some moose hunting happens at that
Oh,
time,
yeah,
but,
those little things get in the way.
maybe another year.
Okay.
Anyway, it's been a pleasure, gentlemen. A real pleasure.
Indeed.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.